Welcome to Real Guitar Live. I'm Thomas Michaud, for those of you who are new here. I want to start with a question. How do you strum without a pick? How do you strum with your fingers? And is that advisable? Well, first of all, yes, absolutely, strumming with your fingers is very viable. As a matter of fact, I probably strum with my fingers more often than with a pick. And a lot of the reason for that is because I use a nylon string guitar, and it really works well on nylon string. I would say it works good on a steel string too, but exceptionally well on a nylon string guitar. So I'm going to show you a number of ways to strum with your fingers. I have 4 levels, so to speak. They're somewhat progressive, though any of them could stand alone. And knowing how to strum with your fingers properly is the big key, actually, to making a decent sound. I'll also talk about the pros and cons a little bit. So let's start with a basic finger strum. The first is actually not your finger, but your thumb. And the thumb should strum down and then up using mostly the flesh of your strum. Now, this is a soft strum. And I'm moving my arm just slightly, and partly I'm making the motion with my thumb. So the two together make the sweep without having to do a big, wide sweep. And that will be more important later on when you add some other finger strums, because you don't want to get too far from the string. So you want to stay close. Now, a lot of people start this way just because they don't know anything else. And it seems like something that maybe it's not a real strum. It is. As a matter of fact, I often use it when I'm just trying something out because it's very quiet and I don't have to go fumbling for a pick either. This is a good place to start. If you want to make it a little different sound, you can strum down with your thumb, and then as you come up, twist your thumb a little bit so that the nail strikes the strings. And it makes a little brighter sound. See, soft, bright. It actually can make a decent sound. Though generally I prefer to just stay with the fleshy part like this. And you see, I'm really just using mostly my thumb, not hardly moving my arm. Okay, number 2, we're going to go ahead and add the fingers. Now, here's where it starts getting interesting. We're going to use that thumb going down just like we did. I'm sorry. We're going to go up with the thumb. We're going to go down with the fingers. So to do that, you're going to close your hand just slightly, and we're going to go down on the strings with the nails of your fingers. So you don't have to have long nails to do this. And it doesn't matter. I'm just striking the flat part of the nails. And it makes a crisper sound. Then when I come up, I am using the nail on my thumb because I want a consistent sound. I don't want bright and then soft, bright and then soft. So listen what it sounds like. Fairly even, but easier to go faster. And that's the biggest advantage of using your fingers like that, is that you can go much faster than just with a thumb, and it's louder. So that's number 2. The third version of that, we're going to add something called a mute. So that looks like this. I'm doing it with my right hand. I'm going down, up, and then I'm going to go down with my fingers, but I'm going to open my hand and palm by the bridge of the strings. So that's right here, close to the bridge. Listen. And I'm making this scratchy sound as I mute at the same time. So here's the practice for that. Just go down with your fingers and mute at the same time. And you want to practice that motion first. Sometimes I have students play the song Obla-Di, Obla-Da, because it's a good one for that mute sound. Look, sounds like this. And so on. So down with the fingers, up with the thumb, and then mute. Now, I often, after I mute, I come up with the fingers on the inside of the fingers. So that's kind of leading me to the fourth and more advanced strum. The more advanced strum, I'm going to show you a strum I often use. It goes like this. We take that strum, down with the fingers, up with the thumb, mute, and then up with the finger. So it creates a little rolling motion. Listen a little faster. And part of it is because it's slightly difference in tone between the nail and the front part of the finger. Again, down with the fingers, and I'm slightly twisting my wrist as I go down to make a brushing sound. I don't want to hit my nails hard on the strings, just brush across. Then up with the thumb, again, the nail of the thumb, then mute while I go down with the fingers, and then up with the inside of the finger. I'm usually hitting my first index finger. It's okay to use that second finger too. Yeah. It seems to head right to my index finger every time. So, are you ready for something a little more advanced? I'm going to show you the rumba strum, which I use a lot. And the rumba strum is basically a version of this. I'm going to grab a nylon string so I can show you what it sounds like. Yeah, I'm going to grab that one right behind me. I tend to think when I'm looking for something, it has to be far away. So let me see. Watch the rumba strum. So what I'm doing is that first basic strum. I'm going to use an open E chord, so easier to do it on open chord. We're going down, up with the thumb, down with the fingers, and mute at the same time. Now I come up with my fingers. So that's the first half. Here's the second half. I'll do the whole thing and then show you the second half. Change up. Let's do that again. From the beginning, rumba strum. Down, up, down, and then up with the thumb. That's the first half. And I'll do it slow again. Sorry for the confusion. Down with the fingers, up with the thumb, nail, down with the fingers again. And this time when I come up with the thumbnail, I open my hand and mute. I'll show you in a second why I got confused, because the second half is, I was showing you the second half. Here's the first half again. Down, up, down, up. Now, second half, we come up with the finger, and then down, and then up. That completes the strum. So step one, down, up. Step two, down, and mute. Step three, up, down, and then up, 4. So it's down, up, down, up. Down, up, down. Now you notice there's a little pause in there. It's not completely even. Here's that pause. Down, up, down, up. Pause, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Pause, up, down. The pause comes right after that mute. Down, down, down. A little faster. Okay. Let's go on to the next question, and feel free if you have more questions about that or anything else to add them into the chat. Uh-oh. Don't break the guitar, Thomas. Okay. Next question. My friend is playing a song on piano in D minor. I have the chords in A minor. How do I know where to put a capo? Capo. Let's do this. And she also asked if I have a capo course. And yes, I'll put a link to that. It's in the Real Guitar Success membership. How to use the capo and a number of different lessons on knowing where to put the capo to get what key. But let's do this. We're in the key of D minor. So the person's playing in D minor, and that's actually the key. We're going to put a capo to be able to play an A minor chord and sound like a D minor. So we're going to use the scale. I'm in the key of, I'm playing an A minor, but we want it to sound like a D minor. So I need to go up to D minor and find out where that is on the guitar, and that's where I'll put a capo. So A minor, how many steps is that from D minor? A minor, A, B, C, D. A to B is one whole step. B to C is only a half step. The half steps are between B and C and E and F. So B to C, half step, and then C to D, another whole step, 2.5 steps. So I'm here. One step would be 2 frets. Another step would be another 2 frets and a half step. I'll put the capo here. Let's see if I got that right. So now I'm going to play A minor. It should sound like a D minor. It does! It works! So any key you want to switch, that's one quick way to do it. You want to play an A minor chord, and in the key of D minor, count up where you're at and what it's going to take to get to where you want to go. A to B, B to C. Just got to remember where those half steps are. Everything is 2 frets, or 2 frets are the same as a whole step, and a half step is 1 fret. So A to B, 1 step. B to C, half step. C to D, another whole step, 2.5 steps. 1, 2.5. There's the capo. Play the A minor, you got a D minor chord. Good question. Good skill to have. How do you write a chord progression, a bridge, that smoothly transposes from one key to another? For example, the song's in the key of A minor, and I want to transpose to B minor. That means I want to go up a key. Are there any rules? Well, I wouldn't say there are any rules. A lot of pop music nowadays does this. A minor, B minor. It's a viable way to switch. Just jump into a key, especially when it's only a whole step above. If it's a big leap, that's going to be more awkward. But jumping up a whole step is very modern. It's done a lot. That said, let's just take the concept of changing from one key to another. There are lots of ways to do that. And obviously, just jumping into the new key is one of those ways. But a common way to do that is to set up the new key coming. So I'm going to pick a different key than going from A minor to B minor. I want something a little more distant. Let's go to D minor. We're going from A minor to D minor. A little better. Going from A minor to D minor. I'm going to think to myself, I want to get to D minor. What are the chords that kind of set me up for the key of D minor? It's common in any key to take the 4 and the 5 chord and make that go to the 1 chord. The 1 chord in D minor is D minor, the root, the 1. So if I want to get to D minor, I could make it sound like D minor by going the 4 chord in the key of D minor, that's D, E, F, G. G minor is actually in the key of D minor. And then the 5 chord would be A. It's common, by the way, even though technically the A should be A minor, it's common to change that to an A7. That really says that's the 5 chord, meaning going to go back to the 1 chord. So it would sound like this if I'm in the key of D minor. D minor, I need a G, 5 chord, A7. Okay. Now, G minor. All right. Make sure I know where I'm at here. A7. That naturally goes to the key of D minor. So I would kind of set that up. I'm going to play in the key of A minor. Now watch this change up. You see, once I was established in the key of A minor, I moved up from the 4 chord of D minor to the 5 chord to that 1 chord, D minor. Again, the 4 chord was G. I just counted up. D, E, F, G. 5 chords A. Often, if you want to really be clear, that's the 5 chord. Make it a A7 and to D minor. Next question. I want to know how the notes in the chord are determined. So I'll use a D7 because it's a bar. Dave is saying I have a D7 bar and I want to know the notes. So he went on to list the notes and says, is this right? So there's a number of different ways I could take this question. Let's kind of take it at face value and say I want to know the notes in that D7 chord. I would first shot look at that and say, well, I just need to know the notes of every note, whether it's a D7 chord, an A7 chord. How do I find the names of the notes? The easiest and most clear way, and a way I recommend everyone practice is playing guitar a little bit, at least at first, just to get familiar with the guitar neck, is to just count up the string. So you know this is a high E string. And if we go up the string a half step, E to F is a half step, so that's going to be F. You want to watch for those sharps and flats. F to G is going to be a whole step. That's 2 frets. That's a G note. G to A is 2 steps. So that's an A note, right? I have my D7 chord. Well, now I got it. And on the bar there's that note. Well, that's an A. I found A. Let's do it on the B string. B, C. That's going to be a half step, right? B to C, E to F, half steps. C, D, not F. D to E. So I have my D7 chord here. That's an E right there. Oh, I'm sorry. The pinky is on there. So that's E. F would be a half step, so that must be F sharp. So that where my pinky is, that's the 7th fret, that's F sharp, and so on. That not only will get you the names of the notes on the D7 chord, or any chord for that matter, but it starts getting you familiar with the fretboard. Now, there are easier ways than counting, or I should say, there are good ways to move into, and that's looking at the patterns. Like one of them is figuring out where the octaves are. That's a G note. There's going to be a G note, up 2 string, up 2 frets, and over 2 strings. That's another G note, and so on. I would recommend, if you're in Real Guitar Success, go through my course that is how to find all the notes on the fretboard. It shows you a number of different ways to look at the fretboard and make sense out of it, to see where the patterns are. And it's not something that you're going to do once and you know it. You go through the course and I'll give you a number of practical exercises to kind of integrate them into your playing. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And if you're not a member of Real Guitar Success, you can join for a couple of weeks for no charge and take advantage of that course. And then stop if you want and never pay a dime. And if you decide you love it, I'd love to have you. It's very affordable. Next, what is the difference between a major and minor scale? This is Sissel, and she's asking particularly about the A minor scale. So here's the A minor scale. Sounds minor. A major scale. Sounds major. Each of these notes have a distance between them, and that distance is what creates that sound. So for the A minor scale, it's a formula. We're going a whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. So you see it's the half steps that make the pattern different. Whole, half, whole, half. Whole, half, whole, half, whole. Back to the octave. So that's the first degree, second degree, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. And I'm not saying the names of the notes because this pattern applies to any scale. First to second degree, whole step. Second to third, half step. Third to fourth, whole step. Fourth to fifth, whole step. Fifth to sixth, half step. And sixth to seven, whole step. Now, from seventh back to the octave is another whole step. Major scale, you put the half steps in a different place. First, second, third degree, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. So you probably notice it looks different. Whole step, same. Another whole step, that's the difference. There's a half step, but I'm playing that note here. I wanted to show you so you can see the one fret. Whole, half, whole, and a half step from here to here. Whole, that's the same note as that. Again, whole, from 1 to 2, whole, 2 to 3, whole, 3 to 4, half, 4 to 5, whole, 5 to 6, whole, 6 to 7, whole, and 7 to 8, half. And that makes up a major scale. And again, it's those distances that create that sound in our ear. You can describe them in feeling-wise, bright for major, cheery, kind of sad, minor for minor scale. But it's those distances between the notes that creates that sound. Do you have any recommendations for Spanish guitar backing tracks? I'm looking for standards like Bésame Mucho, Aquellos Ojos Verde, Amor Amor, and bossa novas like Corcovado and Black Orpheus. I know that one, Black Orpheus and Corcovado. I don't know that one. Yes, Vance. I went ahead and looked for some backing tracks, and the one that seems to have the most of what you're looking for is called Just Backing Tracks. Here, I'll go over there for a sec. Here's Just Backing Tracks. And I'll put the link, of course, in the show notes. This has, I think, most of what you asked for, at least several. I didn't look them all up, but it does have Bésame Mucho for sure. And it has a lot of standards and a variety of Latino styles. I think this is what you're looking for. You will have to buy backing tracks. They're, only fair. They're the people who wrote this music get paid for people using their music. But there's others. I found some that have backing tracks, but not to popular songs like this, but fun songs to play along with. Songs like Nick Neblo makes up songs and then gives you the backing tracks. Flamenco, rumba, bossa nova. Mike Risk makes some that are popular songs, but it looks like he's giving them away. It just means that he's not paying the royalties. He's getting away without paying the royalties. Then there are sites like this, which have backing tracks that are just different styles, not a particular song, and they're great for jamming with. This is Guitar Tone Master. And again, I'll put these links in the show notes. Great question. Now, Nusret asks, I wonder if you could put together a course on guitar theory for beginners as a first step. Yes. First of all, there is a course in the Real Guitar Success membership, and let me see if I can bring that up. Can I bring that up? That's the question. I think I did it. Oh my God, I'm just getting technical here. It's a fairly simple course, but I've tried to hit some of the main theory issues that guitar players have asked over the years. And I put it into a a fairly short course. It's called Guitar Theory Adventure, and it is included in the Real Guitar Success membership. That said, I would be open to making a more advanced course, maybe that kind of took it to the next level. I just need people to let me know what questions and things that they're interested in. I want to make something that people really want, not just interesting theory questions that I'm answering and thinking that everybody wants to know the answers to. Okay. Joe asked, I'd like to know how to play the E minor pentatonic scale correctly on guitar. Okay, let's do the correct E minor pentatonic. We'll start with the E note up here on the 7th fret. So let me play it first so you know what I'm aiming at. So that's a movable E minor, meaning if I change that first note, it'll be whatever that first note is. I changed it 2 frets down to D. Now that's D minor. When I'm playing melodies and improvising, I'm mostly using movable scales. So that was on the 7th fret, 9th fret, 10th fret, over to the next string, that's the D string, the 4th string, 7, 9, 10, and then over to the 3rd string, 7, 9. So that's it. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the E minor scale. You said pentatonic. Here it comes. It's a good comparison. Minor. Pentatonic is only 5 notes. I've just taken E minor scale and taken 2 notes out. I refingered it to make it a little easier. I really like this fingering, especially for playing blues and rock. Watch again. That was 7th fret. I'm using my 3rd finger. Over to 5th fret, 4th string. Up 2 frets. Up 2 more frets. Over to the 3rd string, 7th fret. And up 2 frets. E minor pentatonic. I added the extra note. That's a blues note. Makes it a little more bluesy. So if I had to pick one version of the E minor scale, I'd pick that one because it's the most practical in using it. There are lots of other forms of the E minor scale. Of course, if you're playing lead guitar, you probably are going to need a few different forms in different parts of the neck. But if you're just starting, that's the place to start. What exercises do you recommend to push my fretting hand further up? I wind up with the neck resting on my hand. Further up means up this way. So here's what I'm going to recommend. I want the simplest exercise that I don't have to think too much about the exercise, and I can focus on getting the technique. So this is an exercise I often recommend to students. Let's see. I'll start with a very basic one. I call it the finger developer. And so on. That's going all the way up the frets. The thing is, a lot of students learn this and then very quickly forget about it because it's it's basic and they're beyond that. I still practice exercise very similar to this. I move them up the next so I can get my pinky in there. But the thing is, when you're practicing something like this technique, you want the exercise to be simple so you can focus on the technique, not on if you're getting the exercise right and take you a month to memorize the exercise. And by that time, you've probably created a bunch of sloppy technique. This is a simple exercise so you can focus on getting your hand in the right place. So Diane, you're saying you want your hand to move up more this way. Play the exercise slowly and move your hand and see what it feels like. Take your finger off, play it again. Go slow. Do this, 3-4 minutes every day, maybe twice a day. And move your hand. It's getting sore? Take it, shake it out, relax. Put your fingers back on. Try to put just enough pressure so that if you took your pressure off, your hand would just fall off, right? It's just being held there by your finger slightly. thumb behind the neck. This will cause trouble, what you're saying, the neck into the crux of the thumb. No, get your thumb behind the neck, and this makes a nice arc. Bend your finger. See, I can stretch it out, but you have a choice. Move your hand up, move your hand a little bit, subtle differences. One thing that helps me when I'm doing this is my right elbow is holding the bout of my guitar. So the guitar's not going anywhere. Yeah, you mentioned you have a strap too, which is great. That's the other thing I would recommend. So tighten the strap so it just barely touches your knee. You shouldn't have to keep tightening it. You don't want it to come up here, just so it just touches. Any more is not going to help. Just so it's not sliding down when you let go of your guitar. But also, put your elbow, just slightly hold your guitar right there so it stays up. It should stay up. You shouldn't have to hold it up with your hand. If you're holding it up with your hand, look to your strap and your hand here, because you shouldn't have to hold it up. Then go slow and do a little every day. And it's going to get better. And it's going to take time. It's a developmental process. This is not a quick fix. There is no quick fix. You might get some breakthroughs, in all fairness, but just don't depend on it. That's not how generally this works. Slow, get the hand in the right place, tense, relax, keep coming back at it. I still have to do stuff like this, not for that issue, for different issues. And that's one of the best things I've learned about guitars. It's just expect it to just take time, and if it all of a sudden you get a breakthrough, great. That's just gravy. Rosa asks, when we are playing with our lessons, is there any way the tab music sheet can scroll itself as we play? No, there isn't. And there is technology. I'd have to pay for it, and I'd have to pass that expense on, and I don't want to, at this point, add that expense to the Real Guitar Success membership. But for that improvement, the best way to do that right now, and you're probably doing this, Rosa, is when you go to a lesson in Real Guitar Success. Let me find a lesson to use as an example. I want a different lesson. Let's take something in the beginners. This one, Super 7 chords. And I'll take maybe a often major chord. Let me see. No, I'm looking for one that has the music in it. This one doesn't need the music just to play the A chord. This one for sure. This is more of a song. So it has the music right here. Open the tab in a new tab or new window. Either will work, I think. Let's say new tab. So now that sheet music is right here. And actually, I just realized I have it set up to automatically do that. I didn't have to open a new tab. Just click on it, it'll open a new tab. Am I right? Yeah. And see, you can go back to the video. Now go to this bottom right hand, click on picture in picture. It's that little square with an arrow in it. It's teeny. And what it does is it pops the video out. Oh, you can't see me. I'm sorry. There we are. So I'm going to redo that. First of all, I open the tab just by clicking on it, and it'll open in a new window. Go back to where I was. Pop out this picture in picture. Now the video is right here. I'm going to go to my new window and put the video right here. Now I can play the video. Easy as a setting sun. This song is easy, except when it's not. The easy part is that it's just 3 chords. Okay, it might help to make this smaller. I can do that easy, because now I can see more. Depends on your eyes. That's too small for me. But now I can at least see a whole page. Yeah, I can work with that. And then you'd have to go up. Another way, of course, is to print out the music and lay it out in front of you. And I did that for years and years. So, and of course, then you can see the whole thing, but it takes a little extra step. Next, how to make a good intro. Oh, and by the way, that technology over time, probably it'll become more affordable, and there'll be at some point, it just won't add enough of a cost to be worth worrying about it, and we'll add it to the site. Okay, how do I make a good intro or flavor how to flavor another piece of music with some flamenco fingering without going far and losing the original piece. In other words, how can I compose like an intro that's relatable to the main song, but don't, make it sound like you can't tell it's a song anymore. And Larry, and I told Larry this already, it's a skill. It's not a question you can answer. There is no, this is how you do that. But you develop that skill in part by experimenting, and I do that all the time. And you're making choices. Now, he gave me the link to a Ben Woods video, excellent flamenco guitar player, who took Greensleeves, and you could hardly tell it was Greensleeves by the time he got started. You really had to listen carefully to hear there was some of that melody in there. It's a choice. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to really make it super flamenco and not really adhere to the song. On the other hand, I've played a fingerstyle version of Greensleeves, and it sounds very much like Greensleeves, but not very flamenco-y. There's a lot of in-betweens, and it's a personal taste and choice. A lot of people will listen to Ben's music and say, yeah, that's fantastic. And other people say, hey, that's Greensleeves? Come on, not even close. And there's a lot in between. That said, I have to make this choice often, and it doesn't appeal to everybody, my choices. So I did a Christmas album, and I didn't go that far off the melody, and I thought it sounded pretty much like the tunes. But I still had some people that said, I want something more that sounds more like the song. I did some improvisation here and there, and they didn't even want that. So it's a choice, and I get it. That's fine. Everybody is different, and everybody has different tastes. I didn't want to make an album that really stuck religiously to the melody. It doesn't suit me, and it wouldn't be the way I want to spend my time. But other people have, and of course, I actually listen to some of theirs. I enjoy it, especially around Christmas time. I just want to play something that gives me the feeling of being Christmas. So I don't know what else to say about that. There is no answer I can give to say how to make a intro. I often, if I want to sound like the piece, let me try this. I will just make an intro that is just playing a part of the song that sounds, somewhat complete, but can serve as the intro, or just playing something that foreshadows what's coming. I don't have a good example on the top of my head. A lot of the times when I'm playing a song and I want to sound just like the song, I don't really do an intro. I just play the song. I just start with the song. But a lot of that is because I'm making it for students, and I want them to hear that song right away. I don't want to play the first couple of seconds and say, that don't sound anything like the song. I think that's the best I can do on answering that on a question on Real Guitar Live. Jeff asks, I want to play Hava Nagila. What would I do? What would you suggest? Well, I do this all the time. I want to learn a song. First thing I do is I go to YouTube and see if I can find somebody teaching that song. I'll usually go with more than one because people have different styles and different levels, and I want to find one that suits me better. And sometimes I want it to sound more authentic. The other thing I'll do is I'll go online and see if I can find the sheet music. Now, I read music, so that's a very viable way to do that. If you don't read music, the tab, you could find the tab. And if it's a song with just chords and singing, I might just go with the words and the chords on top. That works really well if I already hear the song and I know what I'm after. Now, another question Jeff's asking is, for your C to G, which I really like, I'm 73 years old and my wrist below my thumb is so sore. I notice that I'm facing towards the right position to do this so I can prepare. Having a sore thumb is common, and I'm noticing it's more common as I get older. Generally speaking, it means you're tensing too much. And usually when I start getting sore, I'll take my hand off and just shake it out and put it back on. Then I'm making fine adjustments. I can't really understand exactly what facing towards the right position means, but maybe you're talking about like this, your elbow's out. Keep your elbow in, relaxed. Maybe you can turn your hand this way or this way, but you have to find a balance that works for you. There is no exact one right way to do it. If you're tensing and you're trying to turn it tensing, try to relax and come back and find a place that you can do it in a fairly relaxed way. It really helps, by the way, to have this angle coming up and down on the frets because it requires less effort to press the strings when you do that. When you're out like this, it takes so much muscle to press down the string, it's going to make you sore. And I would keep your thumb behind there, but keep it relaxed. If you're tensing too much and it's getting sore, again, relax and try to find a position that feels like you can hold it there without hurting yourself. And I would say the same with the G. There's a lot of different fingerings for the G, and that's, depending on your fingering, you might have a little different thumb position. Sometimes my thumb comes peeking up over the top. I don't bend it, though. That causes trouble. And this G, my thumb is a little farther down. Okay, next question. I keep working on getting my ring finger and pinky to work on screens 1 and 2 of fret 3, and it works until I reach the string 6 and 5. Then string 1 and 2 no longer work. Okay, I don't know. I don't understand that question. Jeff, if you're on the call, please, if you could try to ask that question in another way, I'd be happy to try to answer it. I don't know what to say. I'm going to go on for now and go on to answer some of the questions on the chat. And feel free to add questions in your chat. By the way, if you could add the word question first, there's a lot of comments and I don't have time to read everything and decide if it's a comment or a question. So if you say question, my eyes are going to focus in on that. Going down. Happy New Year, everybody. A lot of Happy New Years. Yes, this is the first RGS Live of the year. Question. What is the difference with muting in the boogie blues groove? I don't know what the boogie. I think Sissel is asking about a song on Real Guitar Live, and I mean on my Real Guitar Success membership, and I don't know. I don't know that tune. I have hundreds and hundreds of lessons. I can't really remember what every song is about or what the techniques are. But let me say, Sissel, that there are two types of mutes that I teach students. One is a mute with the right hand. I call it a palm mute, where you strike the string and then mute at the same time. So it sounds like this. And the other mute's in the left hand, and I usually just release the fingers, and sometimes if it's an open chord, flatten them out to mute the string. So that would be like this. Often I'm doing both together, just to make sure I've got the mute. By the way, this left hand works really well on bar chords because you can lift all the strings off. I don't need to use my right hand at all. But with open chords, it's a little tricky. You got to kind of flatten out at the same time. So the right hand mute becomes more advantageous. Hopefully that answers the question. Question. Could you suggest a general practice schedule, including R&R daily sessions for about 1 hour per day? Yes. So everybody's at different levels, and I know Sharon has been playing for a while. So an hour a day is significant. Here's what I do. I'll practice first thing in the morning for half an hour, then take a break. Not first thing. I have tea with my wife and of course, get dressed and brush the teeth and drink my smoothie. Okay. Before going to work, I'll say, before starting my work, I'll practice for half an hour. I consider that kind of my warm-up. Then, after lunch, I'll practice for another 30 minutes. And I find that a very helpful schedule. I do that 6 days a week. I take off Sundays. I would say 6 days, any day you want to take off. Sunday works for me. And I don't pick up my guitar on Sunday. I will watch videos or study some theory or listen to some music and try to figure out if that's something I want to play or just what they're doing to get that sound. So I'll do other things around music on Sunday, but I won't actually practice physically. And that seems to give me a little refresh for Monday, and I feel a little more juiced about trying something I heard on Sunday. That'd be my recommendation. Now, by the way, I do often practice at night before bed too. If you're doing an hour, I don't recommend that. That's my least effective practice because I'm tired and I just don't seem to get the most out of it. My morning one's the best, absolute best. Another schedule, depending on your work, that has worked for me is to do an hour in the morning. I do a half an hour, take a 5-minute break, do some stretching exercises, my whole body because my back gets sore, and then do another half an hour. Morning is my best time, and I seem to get the most out of practicing there. But the reason I'll do sometimes I will do an hour, and then I'll do another half hour after lunch and a half hour before bed. But sometimes I only do a half hour in the morning. It's because I got a lot of work, and then it's hard for me to not be thinking about what I got to get done. So half an hour gets me warmed up without making me too frustrated. My preferred schedule is a full hour in the morning. Great question. And by the way, I've changed my schedule many times. This is what's working for me now. And I think it's my best practice schedule yet. But, when I'm traveling or holidays or something, I have to kind of do things a little differently. Sometimes I'll cut down practice, or sometimes I'll do a long practice early in the day because I know once the day gets started, I won't be able to get back to my guitar. That's all the questions I see. If you think of any more questions, feel free to add them. I'm going to do our monthly drawing. And this is a drawing for members of the Real Guitar Success. They do a session each day, 5 days a week. I call them guitar sessions. And the only requirement is to spend 10 minutes on it, not to perfect it, and then check it off, done. And if you want, save it to favorites and come back and work on it later if you want. But just checking it off gets you in the drawing. Everybody in the drawing is eligible to get an Amazon gift card. So I pick one person, they'll get a $50 Amazon gift card. Let me set the guitar down. There, before I drop it. Let's do this drawing. Come on. And today, the winner is Sissel. You're in. Congratulations. And congratulations to everybody who's participated. The practice and the exposure to new materials. By the way, these sessions are organized into one per week, and they're always around a song or a theme, and it's progressive. So at the end of the week, we put it all together. And just going through that gives you better options for practicing and playing the guitar. So congratulations, everyone. I will send you your gift card, Sissel, right away. And let me check and see if there's any new questions. You're welcome. Oh, Sissel's on the call. I don't see anything new. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm going to do a quick. If I missed you, please just add your question there. I don't see anything. That means I'm going to close up for today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me for the first RGS Live of 2025. I hope you all have a wonderful year and have lots of time to play your guitar and feel good about it and make wonderful improvements. I look forward to seeing you. I'll be here the next month, first Thursday of the month, 12 noon my time on Thursday. But I'll send you, if you're on my mailing list, I'll send you an invite as well. Bye for now.